Okay.
Yeah, I don't
There we
see
go.
you.
So we are live. Welcome. Good evening, Joan, and welcome, Lisa.
I don't know how to see you, Rabbi.
Swipe towards your right. Oh, we've lost you as well. Are you in Zoom still? Go back if you go back into Zoom.
Hmm.
There we go. You see us again?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful. So we're going to go right into it, and we're going to start with a recap. So first of all, welcome, Joan, and welcome, Lisa. It's great to have you here. We are going to start, as usual, with a round of gratitude. So, Joan, what are you grateful for this evening?
Oh my. I had a good week. A friend came back from her vacation and we got together. Oops. And another friend had me over to her pool. So it was a lovely week of getting together with friends.
Good. Very, very nice. Lisa, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. If you're able to, can you share something that you're grateful for this evening?
I'm grateful for the apparent health of my family and loved ones. It seems like such a commodity these days to be healthy.
Baruch Hashem.
Yes.
Great. Baruch Hashem for that. May we and all of the people we know and care about should stay safe and healthy. And let us say Amen.
Amen.
I wanted to start with this last week, but I didn't have the picture up. So we're going to start with it today. It would have been a better contrast if we would have started with this last week, but we'll start with it today and it'll still do us well. So this, we're going to click share and we're going to go full screen. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes.
You do, very good. Now I need to zoom in.
Chip, mommy.
Oh.
Hey, I don't like when that happens. Okay. Perfect. So you all see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. By the way, Joan, I am on a different internet and I have another backup, so hopefully it's gonna go much smoother today.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. So well, let's put it this way. Last week, before we started, would this have looked any different than the Chinese poster you saw a few weeks ago?
No. Greek.
No. Greek. Okay, very good. What about now? Does it look a little bit different?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. Can you imagine that in 4 weeks' time we're going to be able to read this?
Yay.
Okay, now I got a better secret for you. I chose this page very specifically because it is the oh, it doesn't say in English on the top. Okay, this is Kol Nidre in Hebrew.
Oh.
And this is the text that we're going to be referring to. Okay? Does that sound good?
Good.
Great. So we're going to start by doing this. It'll take us a few extra minutes, but I think it'll be a great exercise. Let's start. Which word, again, remembering that we're going from right to left with all the Hebrew letters, which word has the first aleph on this paragraph?
Well, I can't see the first. You're up in that box. I can see the second word.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an aleph in the second word, but I'm not sure about the first word.
Okay, there's an aleph in the second word that you can see. Perfect. Very good. What about a bet? Do you see a bet anywhere? I'll give you a hint. It's not on the first line.
Third word?
When the bet is?
Third word?
Very good. Third word, towards the end of the word, we have a bet. Are you seeing that, Lisa?
Yes.
Good. Very good. I guess, Lisa, that means that you had a chance to watch and go through the recording and do some homework as well?
Well, I did some other work, but I haven't gone through the recording yet.
Okay.
But I've done some flashcards and some other
Perfect. And so that we can, for my knowledge, so that we know where everyone's holding, what's your background with Hebrew reading? Have you ever learned the letters before? Is this a refresher? Is this the first time?
I learned them 5 years ago, and I didn't retain it.
Okay. Perfect. So let's look for a, guess what? This first paragraph does not have a gimel. What about over here? In this second paragraph, can we see a gimel?
Mm,
Demo, demo.
Yeah, just be above Chazan.
Just
It's
above
two-
Chazan, we've got a
Right
double
here, right
gimel.
here.
Very good.
Yeah.
It was right here. That was right there. It was right there. It was in the last word.
Okay.
Oh,
Very good. Now we're going to go back to the first paragraph.
I didn't see that.
Do we see a Dalet?
the second line.
Okay. Yeah,
third
there's
word.
a Dalet there, second line. Very good. What about a Hey? It's going to be in the third line. Where do you see a Hey in the third line?
Two-letter word. Two-letter word.
Very
One,
good.
4, 5, 6 word.
Very good. And what's the first letter of that word?
Oops, I lost it. Oh,
Yes. Is that a yid?
A Zion. The first letter of that word is a Zion. So it's a two-letter
Zion.
word, Zion and Hey. Very good. The first letter is a Zion, the zigzag Zion. Let's look back on the first line. Do we see any Yuds?
yeah,
Yeah.
first word even, but we can't really see it.
Right. Very good. What about a Vav?
First letter of that word. That's
Very
second.
good. Now, do we see a Chet anywhere? Chet like chuppah.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, fourth word, second letter.
Very good. Joan, you're on your game. Lisa, are you keeping up as well?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. What about on the 1, 2, 3, fourth line? Do we see a tet?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, fourth word.
Fourth word. Lisa, are you seeing that also?
I think mine is obscured by something on my phone, but it's 1, 2, 3. Is it the last letter of the fourth word?
The
Second
last letter of the fourth word. We're looking for a tet.
Yeah. Right
Tet
there.
makes the T sound. So it would be on the fourth line, the 1, 2, 3, the fourth word, the second letter of the fourth word.
Oh, okay, I had it wrong.
That's why we're doing practice. That's okay. What about on that same line? Do we see a cuff?
Yep, first letter.
Very good. The first letter is a cuff.
What's with the things below them?
Oh, very good. So those are going to be the vowels. We'll get to them next week and the week after.
Oy.
That's what makes all the noise. Okay. Then we're going to look for a lamed. Do we see a lamed in this line?
Yes.
Where are we seeing a lamed, Lisa? Oh, lamed for Lisa.
1, 2, 3, fourth line, and it's in the third word.
Very good.
Third, fourth.
Okie dokie. So look at that. We found all of our letters in the Kol Nidre. My goal is that we're going to be fluent in the Kol Nidre by the end of this. Does that sound exciting?
Very.
Good. So now we're going to go back to our wonderful slideshow. And we're going to do them all in order from our favorite chart. Okay, so as the letters come bold on the screen, let's all say the name of the letter together.
Aleph, Bet,
Bet, Gimel,
Gimel,
Dal,
Dalet,
Dalet,
Hey,
Vav,
Yud, Vav,
Good.
Zion,
Chet,
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 Chet, Tet,
Yud,
Yud,
So Lisa, the way we explained it, the difference between the Yud and the Vav is that the Vav, which was the last letter on the first line, the Vav is very tall and very thin. And the Yud, just like the Yid, Yid is the Jewish people. So the Yid is the smallest of all the nations. The Yud is the smallest letter.
okay,
Chaf,
Chaf,
So this one is the one with the cough drop inside. So this is the Kaf,
Kaf,
Kaf, like a K, Kaf like K.
Chaf,
And this is the Chaf. He didn't take his cough drop, so he's hoarse. The Chaf.
Chaf,
final Chaf,
Final Chaf. This is the one that comes at the end of a word. And then we had the tallest letter, the only one that goes above the line,
Lamed,
Lamed for Lisa.
Lamed.
Very good. So these are the letters from last week. We have them pretty good. Let's go through all of them, and we'll do the name and the sound and the mnemonic that we use to remember them. So, oops, wrong way. There we go.
Aleph,
Aleph,
And what sound does it make?
none,
No sound. And remember, it looks like an X. It's got no sound. Then we had the
Hey,
bet, and it sounds like
Buh.
B, and it has a button in its belly. Button. Then we had the
Bet,
vet, and the vet is the one which is vacant. The one which doesn't have the dot is the vet.
Bet,
Then we had the
Gimel,
gimel, and it makes what sound?
G,
G. And the way we remembered it, Joan, do you remember that one?
Glamorous,
Glamorous gimel with the high heels.
Mm. Dalet,
Dalet, and sound it makes.
Duh,
The very good. And Joan, do you remember the mnemonic for this one?
it had to do with hammer makes a dent or something.
Very good. Yeah, it looks like a hammer that makes a dent. Then we have
Hey,
Okay.
hey, and what sound?
Huh.
Oh.
Huh. And what was the mnemonic?
Windows open or something, lets air in.
So that was one of them. And then hey, his foot is broken. Then we have the
oh,
vav and the sound.
Buh.
That was
Uh,
like that.
And again, like we said, it was very straight and very thin. Then we have the
Zion,
zayin and the sound
The,
z, and it is a zigzag. Goes this way, then that way, then back again. Next we have the
Chet,
Chet,
chet, and it makes what sound?
Ch,
Very good, and it looks like a
chuppah,
chuppah. Very good. Next we have the
Tet,
Tet,
tet, and it makes a
T,
t. And what did we use to remember it?
teapot,
The teapot. It has his little teapot, and here's his handle, and here's his spout. Next, we had the,
Yud.
and it makes a,
Yeah.
yeah, very good. And it was the smallest letter, just like the Yid is the smallest of all the nations. Next, we had the,
Chaf.
so the one with the dot sounds like a,
Cough.
again,
Cough.
the cuff. Very good. So the cuff is the one with the cough drop. So the one with the dot is the k. It makes a K sound like k. It's the one with the dot because he's got his cough drop. Next, we have the,
Chaf.
right. So this
Chaf.
one is the chaf, and his voice is hoarse because he didn't get his cough drop. And then we have the
Final chaf.
final chaf. Very good. And finally,
Lamed.
the lamed, and we remembered it because it's a lanky ladder. Okay, so now we're ready to continue, and we're going to start. The first letter, which as you can see is the next letter on our screen over here, is a lookalike to which letter?
Where are we?
Very good. It looks like the tet. So what's the difference between this letter that we're about to look at and the tet? And let's make it big on our screen. This letter is called a mem.
Mem.
This letter is the mem, and it makes a m sound. Mem, m, like M. And the way that we're going to remember this is that the tet, if we look back over here, the tet had a tear in the top, right? And it looked like a teapot. And over here, our mem is going to look like, what does it look like?
I don't know.
It looks like a mountain with a flag in it, right? Looks like a mountain with a flag in it, and this is just about to happen. There we go. A mountain with a flag in it. Our mem. Mem is a mountain. Mem is also going to have a final letter. Mem is also going to have some numerology. So mem, the numerical value of the letter mem is 40.
Wow.
What does 40 represent?
Which mem is 40? Or
Mem is
final?
40. Yeah. Mem is 40. And what does mem represent? What does 40? What was 40?
Age of food.
Days and years in the desert.
Okay, both of them are right. There was 40 years in the desert, and the one that we want to focus on here is 40 days and 40 nights that Moses spent on the mountain.
no.
Mountain.
Which
So mem
time?
is 40, mem is mountain, mem is Moshe, Moses. So Moshe Rabbeinu spent 40 days on the mountain. And what did he receive?
The 10 Commandments.
10 Commandments, the Torah. So Moses received the Torah. Now, the Torah is, hold with me here, the Torah is compared to water. And water in Hebrew is mayim that starts with a mem. So let's look at this over here. Okay, fine. Let's first go through it here. So the mem is 40. Moses spent 40 days and 40 nights. Moshe Rabbeinu spent 40 days and 40 nights on the mountain receiving the Torah. The Torah is compared to water that goes from a high place to a low place. The Torah came from God to us. And water is spelled mayim, which starts with a mem as well. If there was a lot, don't worry. And if we were trying to draw circles over here, and if we were drawing this like a flow chart, we'd probably end up with like a spaghetti module or spaghetti, whatever they make for the hurricanes. Like, yeah, but that's how it is. So our lookalikes. So the mem and the tet had a tear in the top. The mem is open in the bottom, just like water goes and flows downwards. And here we have our beautiful water, our beautiful mayim. What a glorious picture.
Wow.
I'd like to visit that place one day. Superb. Okay, next is that mem has also a final letter. Okay, here is the final mem.
Sofit.
Mem Sofit.
The mem sofit, right? The final mem, the mem sofit. This is the mem when it comes at the end of a word In Yiddish, it's called a Schloss mem, which means a closed mem or a locked mem. And this kind of looks quite like the mem itself, except it's just closed. Instead of being open, it's closed. The important part to remember over here is that it's square, very square, straight on both ends. And bear with us as we go for this one. The funny way to remember this one is a bird's eye view of a piece of brownies. It's marvelous, doesn't it? Okay. Yes, I know it doesn't look like a piece of cake, but that may stay with you. So this is the final mem. Doesn't that look yum? So the mem doesn't sound like cake. The mem stands for the Okay. Moving along, next is going to be, okay, so here's important. We're going to get to this soon. The mem on the right side is the one that we're looking at now, the final mem, the mem sofit. The one on the left side, we're not going to talk about now. We're going to get to it soon. But the difference is that the other one is cut a slice off on the right side, whereas the final mem is straight down. So the final mem is straight down, and the other one we'll get to soon. Next letter is the nun, and it makes an, So this is not nun. Nun is something else. This is nun. How would you nun, like, I guess like good, nun. Nun.
Noon time.
Nun, but it's not really noon. It's noon would be with an E at the end. It's nun. Nun. And it makes a sound like the letter N. This is a lookalike. Who remembers which letter this looks like?
Zion? No.
I think it looks more similar to a different letter. Well, if it doesn't look similar, then good. We're doing well.
Gimel?
Means you've been doing your practice. Sorry?
Like Gimel without the heel?
Like Gimel without the heel, exactly. So Gimel was the glamorous heel, but Nun has no heel. Nun is wearing flats. Nun is going casual today. So this is our Nun with no heel, and it makes an N sound, like the letter N. N. Okay, so here was our Gimel with our heel, and the Nun is wearing flats with no heel. So glamorous Gimel was wearing a heel, and Nun has none, nada, nothing, no heels, Nun.
None.
Here's another word, which is another point, which is that the Nun is narrow. It looks similar to the four that are on the left. Here we have our, on the top right of that box is our
Cuff.
Bet.
Right is baked.
the top right of our screen is our
Bet.
bet, right?
Bet.
Remember our boat bet? The bet has that edge jutting out like our sailboat. So the boat is the bet, and the other one on the top line is the
Bet.
vet. Then on our bottom line, we have our,
Chaf.
the first one is the
Chaf.
Oof.
Chaf.
No.
cuff.
Tough. Tough.
The first one is our cuff with the cuff drop. And the second one is the
Chaf.
chaf with the hoarse voice. So those four do look kind of similar in structure to the nun. The difference is that the nun is narrow, the others are wide. So while most of the letters are kind of like fit into a box, the nun, the vav, the zayin, but the nun is one of the few that are narrow letters. Another word of caution not to mix it up. When you're actually reading it in words, it'll be a lot more simple because you'll notice very clearly that it's a different width, that it's not wide. But if the nun was wide, it would look like a chaf. So let's be careful to remember that the narrow nun makes an N sound. N. Nun, when it's stretched out, when the nun is at the end of a letter, end of a word, I apologize. When the nun is at the end of the word, it looks like this, kind of like a nail keeping the word together. Almost like an extra long vav that sticks down below the line. So the line would be about here.
Below the line.
The line would be about here, and the nun, the final nun. So let's go back over here. We see how the, where's my mouse? It starts the same way. It has that top, and then it continues down, and then instead of curling like the nun, it just extends straight down, all the way down, like a
So
long nail to keep the word together. So this is a final nun. This is the final nun, and it also makes the N sound. Are we ready for the next letter?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So nun is 50, which represents completion, and the nun here. The nun is the first word, the first letter of the word neshama. And similar to the way that the neshama is, that during its journey in this world through our bodies, it kind of has to curl itself up and cannot be fully expressed while it's in our body. However, when it's at the end of the word, when it's at the end of its journey, it can fully unfold and experience its complete fullness. Once it ascends to paradise, to Gan Eden, to the Garden of Eden. So that's another mystical part of the neshama, the nun. We have the curled nun and the complete nun, or the long nun. The nun in the beginning or middle of a word, and the nun at the end of a word. And we learned in Journey of the Soul, Joan remembers that for many reasons, the soul is much better off down here in this world. We'll get to that at a different time. So that's the nun, the neshama, the journey of our soul. Okay, now here comes our samach. The samach is similar to the final mem that we had just before, but someone cut a slice off the side of it. So imagine walking into your kitchen and finding that somebody has bitten off a slice of your hard-worked cake. Oy vey, someone's gobbled up a slice. Now, where are we going to have enough for all of the guests? Samach, silly samach, is missing a slice that someone stole. How many S's can we get into one sentence?
Boy.
So samach is missing a slice over here. And samach, if this one works a little better for you, samach is also more circular. Samach is more round than the final mem was straight, and the samach is more rounded. That looks yum. So the samach is circular, missing a slice. Samach. And it makes an S sound. Do we have our lookalikes here? No. So let's just go back for another minute to our, hope it didn't go too far. Nope. Okay, here we have our mem and our samach. So it's important to remember the distinction between the mem, which is the flat on the side, and the samach that's missing a slice. The samach looks more circular. I find this very often, very, very often, especially as in this font is, this font is very clear. And that's why it was chosen for this course, because it depicts the difference between the letters very well. There are other fonts in which the final mem and the samach look quite similar, and you have to kind of squint your eyes and make sure to see whether it's a mem or a samach. So let's remember that the mem is the straight one, and the samach is the more circular one that's missing a slice.
I love you, baby.
Okie dokie. And the samach represents the circle, the complete circle, the infinity, the God that surrounds us from all sides.
Say that again. Which one?
The samach. The samach represents infinity. Okay, are we ready for our next letter?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. The next letter is ayin.
Ayin.
And ayin, just like the aleph, has no sound of its own.
Oh.
So what's the point of the ayin? Well, first of all, the ayin, it's a good question. I'm glad you asked. The aleph and the ayin have different meanings in terms of the actual construction of the words as it pertains to their meaning. So different words mean different things, and the aleph and the ayin can actually be different translations of words. But we'll get to that when we get to a Hebrew understanding translation course. For the subject of today, the ayin will take on whichever form of the vowel. So it could be a, e, u. The ayin, how are we going to remember the ayin? There we go. The ayin is silent just like a pair of eyes. Let's do that again. Whoops. There we go. I like those blinking googly eyes. So the ayin looks like a pair of eyes. And if we were going, Lisa, maybe your husband can explain how the eyes are connected in the back of the head to the brain. But anyway, this is not a good, this I don't know if it exactly works like this, but this is how the eyes are, the ayin. And ayin in Hebrew actually means eye. The word ayin means eye.
Mhm.
So ayin is silent like a pair of eyes looking at us. And here we have our two wonderful googly eyes. Let's do that one more time. There we go. Ayin is silent like a pair of eyes. And here we have another lookalike warning.
Sadly.
These sometimes get mistaken between the two of them, the ayin on the right and the other one on the left. We're going to get to the one on the left soon. The one on the right is our ayin. I heard someone say that it looks like a Y, so they call it yayin. But it doesn't make a Y sound, it makes a no sound. So if that works for you, then good. Okay, so that's our ayin. Are we ready for our next letter?
Ah,
Yeah.
Mommy.
you're learning, mommy's doing
Okay. So our next letter, our ayin also over here, we have two eyes. Why do we have two eyes? The young Rabbi Shalom Dover of Lubavitch once asked his father, why do we have two eyes? Why do we have two ears? Why do we have two nostrils? Wouldn't it be fine if we were like a cyclops with one eye in the middle of our face? What do we need two eyes for? His father answered him that we have two eyes, a right eye and a left eye. We have a choice to view things positively or to view things not positively. So we have to make sure that we're always using the positive eye. So that's why we have two eyes.
Okay.
Okay, so that finalizes this row. As they get bold, they're going to come like a maroon color. We will we'll say the name of the letter and the sound that it makes.
Mem, no,
Mem.
mem,
Mm.
mem
Sophie.
Sofit.
Oops, I just lost it.
Yeah, mem sofit or final mem and the sound that it makes. Very good.
None.
Nun.
None.
Nun and the sound.
Mm. Nun Sofit.
Sophie.
Final none.
And the sound.
Mm.
Samach.
Samech.
More circular.
Very good. Samach and the sound.
S.
Very good. And finally,
Ian.
Iron.
and the sound.
He's
Nothing.
looking at you.
No sound. Very good. Okay, perfect. We will now continue to our next family. Our next family actually has 3 letters.
Ayecha.
We have the Pei
Okay.
and the Fei. Okay, so guess where I'm going to go with this one? How do you remember which one has the dot? The Pei, yeah, the Pei makes a P sound like P, and the Fei makes like a F, like F, so Pei and Fei. And the Pei has a penny. The Pei gets the Pei because he brought his penny. The Pei gets to put a penny in the pushka. And the Fei used to have one, but it fell out. Should we do that again? The Fei had one, but it fell out.
Remember, this is sort
Fei
of a swirl.
Fell out. So
Curve
the Pei and the
forward.
Fei are very similar and almost looks like a face over here. No,
No.
no,
No.
with his nose,
You'll see in script
mouth.
different. Block versus script.
So this is our Pei and our Fei, P and F. Now, if we look at the Fei, we'll see something very interesting, which is that it looks like a Chaf with an upside down Yud inside. Is that right?
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah. It looks like a Chaf with an upside down Yud. A Chaf looks like a mouth which is open.
And
And the reminder is that when we have our mouths open, we should be talking about godly things, which are symbolized by the Yud, the first letter of God's name.
Oh my.
So when we have our mouth open, we should be talking, we should be filling it with godly things, like the Yud over here. So that's our Pei and our Fei. P and F. The Pei has a penny,
careful of Lashon Hara.
and the Fei had a penny, but it fell out. Oops. One more time. There we go. Fell out.
Remember godly things with your open mouth instead of Lashon Hara.
Okay, now here we have, just like all the other almost all the other final letters, besides the final mem, the other final letters are just stretched out of the same thing. So how we tell that they all look the same is by their nose, right? Just like you can tell all the siblings they all have the same nose. So the Pei, the Fei, and the final Fei all have the same nose. You will not have a final Pei. There's a final Chaf and a final Kaf. There is no final Pei, to my knowledge. And this is the final Fei. So it's just like the Fei, but uncurled. Like a bookend at the end of the word to make sure that the rest of the letters don't fall out. So there we have our Pei, our Fei, and our final Fei.
Sorry.
The next letter is the Tzadi or the Tzadik, and it makes a T sound, like TZ or TS. T. This is a letter that we don't have in English. It's a T sound, and it's twisted like a pretzel, right? It's twisted like a pretzel, and if you don't believe me, it looks exactly like a pretzel, doesn't it? No? Okay. But anyways,
So
it's twisted like a pretzel, and it's a tzaddik. A tzadi or a tzaddik. Twisted like a pretzel. And it makes a ts sound. Let's all say that sound together. Ts.
T.
Very good. And this letter also has a final letter, which is again the same letter, just stretched out. It's the the two things like that, and then coming down. The tzaddik. So this is the final tzaddik or tzaddik sofi. So yeah, let's go back quickly to our ayin lookalike. There we go. So we have over here, we have on the right side, we have our ayin, which is our two eyes. But the tzadi or the tzaddik is all twisted up like a pretzel. There's a lot more going on with the tzaddik. The ayin is much more plain. It's just our two eyes sticking out. And our tzaddik is all twisted like a pretzel. Let's get our way back here. Okay, another interesting symbolism of the tzaddik is that a tzaddik is a righteous person, right? We all know what a tzaddik is. A tzaddik is a holy person, a righteous person. And the letter kind of looks like a person who's bending over, carrying a yud on his back, which symbolizes humility and putting God on us. So if you look over here, we have a beautiful graphic for that. We have someone bending over. He doesn't look like the greatest tzaddik with his funny face over there. But anyways, this is someone bending over with the yud on his back. He's subservient to
Where am I? Where?
Hashem.
Where?
So that's our tzaddik.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
And the letter, the word tzaddik, which is the name of the letter, actually means a righteous person. Are we ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay, so our tzaddik
Yeah,
again makes a
yeah.
tz sound. The next one is the kuf.
Oof.
Kuf makes a K sound like k, kuf, k, kuf. Now, I don't like the mnemonic that's been brought for this one, but it's here, so we'll share it. And obviously, with no offense to anybody and with all sensitivities involved, this is what they've given us. And if it helps you remember the letter, I hope it'll help you remember the letter. The kuf almost looks like a curved person with a cane. We have a curved person who's old and carrying a cane is our kuf. Our kuf is our beloved neighbor who is carrying her cane and her back is a little curved because she is a tzaddik. She's a righteous person, so her back is curved and she's carrying her cane. A kuf, curved, carrying cane.
I agree. I don't like that. But okay.
I'm
Yeah.
getting there. I don't mind it.
Well, what can I tell you? Kuf makes me think of Catan. But
Right.
however it fits. Rabbi, what you're bringing in, you bring so much Zohar into your understanding of the letters that you're teaching. It's wonderful. It's fabulous.
Okay,
It's just
good.
fabulous.
I'm glad you're enjoying.
Absolutely. You
By the
bring
way, what's
so
your
much.
name?
What?
What's your name?
Baruch Avram.
Baruch Avram.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm glad you're here.
Yes, I'm Lisa's husband.
Right.
And I love the amount of Zohar that you bring into the alphabet, because that's a whole nother level. It's very difficult. And then you introduce it where it can be simple. And that's fantastic. Absolutely
Great.
fantastic.
Great. I'm glad you're enjoying it, and we are just scratching the
So
surface.
much. So much.
Good. So the kuf. Now here's one for kuf. The kuf goes down. The kuf stands for what else besides for Katan? Baruch Avraham starts with a kuf. Kadosh or Kedusha, which means holiness.
Holiness.
Holiness starts with a kuf.
Yes.
So what's the lesson from the kuf? The kuf goes down, and if you can see, let me move my things over here. Do you see how over there the kuf is down below the line, just like a Y or a Z or a P in English?
Yes.
So the kuf goes below the line. If our holiness is truly holy, it must not stay aloof and above. It must come down into the way we act on a day-to-day level, in the way we act with our people, with our friends, with our neighbors. Kedusha, holiness, may not stay above. Kedusha has to come down and affect the way we live our lives every day.
Agreed.
So that's our kuf for Kedusha. Here we have our beautiful mountaintops. Okay. The resh. The resh is round. Resh is like the letter R, R. Resh is round.
Reish.
Resh is round. You see the top right? So this is where it differentiates from the Dalet. The Dalet had that thing on the back to make things dented. The Resh is rounded. Here we have it's rounded Resh. And we're almost done. Okay. So let's pause for a moment and do some review. When the letter comes bold, you can say the name of the letter as well as the sound. You don't have to wait for me. You could just say the name of the letter and its sound. Are we ready for this?
Yeah.
John, we ready?
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, Lisa, we ready?
Yes.
Great. Okay.
Pie, hay,
Pay.
hay,
Pay.
Very good.
Fay.
Fay.
hay.
Fay. Final fay.
Fay Sofit.
Sadi.
Tzadik.
Sadik. I can remember that. Sadik.
Final Sadik.
Tzadik Sofit.
Sadik Sophie.
Ka.
Kuf.
Poof.
K.
How do you
Resh.
say that?
The kuf. This one?
Yeah, kuf.
Kuf.
Ku, ku, ku.
Shin. Sin. Chaf. Tuf.
And then
Reish.
here we have the resh. Re.
Reish.
Okay, so now we have 4 letters left. We've done a
Right,
lot
back
more
to
tonight
Tom.
than we have last week. We've
Reish.
covered already. We've already covered almost the same amount as last week. And here comes the last 4 letters, which are really 2 letters, but each of them has 2 variants. So here we have our shin and our sin. What's the difference between the two? Joan, what's the difference between the shin and the sin?
The dots above.
The dots above. So how are we going to remember this? I hope that you're going to both love this one for the shin. The shin, which makes a sh sound like an sh. Shin is sh because she's always right. Very good. And the sin, not that kind of sin, but the sin, the one with the dot on the left is a s sound like an s. And it is no sin. Oops, it is no sin to be a lefty. So the shin, she's always right. And the sin, it's not a sin to be a lefty. So if you see the dot on the right, it's a sh sound. And if you see the dot on the left, it's a s sound. Sh and s. Shin and sin. Sh, esh and s.
I sh and
Sh and s.
z.
S, like s. Sh and s.
Shin is sh. Sh.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and sin
dot.
is and sin
sin
Or
is
if
what?
you're, if you're a
Sin is
Star
s.
Trek fan, live
No.
long and prosper.
Right, but what's sin? Is the pronunciation?
S, like an s.
Well, see, I just do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
Mhm.
excellent.
Shin is sh and sin is s. Are we ready for the last 2? Before we
Yep.
get there, we've got some. Oh no, we're gonna go right here. The shin is like a crown. Anyways, the last 2 are the tough and the suf. Tough and suf. So the tough has a token in middle. And the suf must be sad because he doesn't get to play. Okay, so the tough has a token t and s. So the tough is like a T sound, t, and the suff is like a s, like an S sound, s. Tough and suff.
We're stuck.
Okay,
No.
the tough and the suff. That's it, guys. We've done all 22 letters.
Wow.
Their combinations and their finals and their variations. So we have closer to 30 or so. And that's all the letters. So here is, we have our toe sticking out, but the other one also does. I'm not sure why we have that here. An interesting thought that we have the right side, which stands for our good deeds, which is our action. On top is our Torah study, which is our thought. And on the bottom, we have, on the right side of the bottom, we have our prayer, which is with our mouth. So our thoughts, speech, and actions, we always have to have that extra part that's sticking out on the side like a little yud, which represents the smallest letter of the alphabet, the humility. So if we have our saf, we are complete like the last letter of the alphabet. We have our good deeds, our good thoughts, our good speech, and our humility, and then we are complete like the last letter of the alphabet. How's that?
Rob, the way you add in the meaning of the Zohar through our letters is absolutely delightful.
Good,
So appreciated.
good, good,
It's
good,
more
good.
than just, it's more than just pronunciation. It's more
Perfect.
than just pronunciation. You do a wonderful job. Just wonderful.
Thank you.
It is so
Wow.
appreciated. It's deeper than a lot of people understand as they hear you. But that's good that to be introduced to it like that.
Right. Now,
It never
hopefully it
was
adds
just-
also in the retaining of the letters once we know a little more about the 32 different variants that we have here of the 22 letters in the alphabet. Maybe soon we'll throw in an extra comment about the 5 final letters. But before we get there, and before we get into our review for tonight, we'll go a few more minutes and in our review. This is going to be the building blocks from which we start everything. So before we close this out with the review, I strongly encourage to continue doing more homework. 5-10 minutes a night. If you have the flashcards, good, and you can mix them up and do it that way, in order, out of order. If you're able to get the app is incredible. The Read It in Hebrew app. It's I think $1.99. You can get it on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store for Android or iOS, depending what device you have. I don't think you can get it on a computer at this point, or yet, at least. Joan, I know you were having some technical thing with that. I'm gonna see if I can try and arrange the app for you.
I was concerned about putting my credit card.
Right. So I want to see if
Yeah.
there's another way we can do it without putting your credit card into the thing.
Thank
In any
you.
case, the study and the review of these letters is going to be the building blocks for your success. So let's get them strong, and like as we're looking at them, we just did them, we just went over them. You know, it looks great. We want to keep this, and we want to make sure that it's going to stay with us for the coming months, days, years, decades, for even for our next reincarnation. Anyways, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go through the last letters, and then we are going to, we'll do it either once or twice depending on what's going on. And then next week we are going to start with the vowels, which is how these letters actually make words by making real sounds. That's how words get put together. And by the end of the next week and the week after, we will be able to read complete words. So that's exciting. Let's go through as we go through each letter. As the letter becomes bold, you'll say the name and the sound.
Mem.
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 Final mem.
Sophie.
Nun.
Get darn. Nun.
Nun,
Nun. Final nun.
nun sofit,
Savage.
rounded, samach,
Samach.
Samach.
Ayin.
Ayin.
and excellent.
And what sound does the ayin make?
Nun.
Nothing.
Very good.
Pay.
Pay. P.
Fay.
P.
Final
Final.
fay.
Pay.
They sofit,
Sadik.
tzadik, huge letter.
Final tzadik.
Tzadik sofit,
Kuf.
kuf, excellent, excellent.
Resh.
Resh,
Shin. Sh. Sin. S.
Tav.
Tough. Sav.
excellent, excellent.
Okay, very good. So here we have our whole complete set of letters from the Aleph to the Taf. Now, before last week, this chart would probably have looked like Chinese, didn't it, Joan? Like Greek,
At least. At least.
Right?
Yes.
at least.
Yes.
And now, does it look like something you can relate to?
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Good, awesome. So we've made great progress there. And now, as let's look back at our Kol Nidre paper. Let's look back at our Kol Nidre paper again. And over here, the dots may be a little confusing, but all of those letters are now familiar to you.
Nun.
Oh, true.
Fay. Nefesh.
Okay, so
Right.
I am going to try. So the homework, the home study for you is the flashcards to review 5-10 minutes a night. Go through each of the letters once, twice, if you can, 3 times. And I am going to try and send this as an email to you. I have to see if I can send it as an attachment. If not, I'll send it personally. And if you're able to print it out and circle first all the alephs on the page, then all the bets on the page, then all the vets on the page, all the gimels, and that could be a fun exercise. Also, another way to help retain things and also to build more familiarity with the beloved Kol Nidre prayer. Does that sound like a good idea?
I don't have I can't print it. Yeah.
Take your time, don't be overwhelmed. Don't
Rabbi,
be overwhelmed, take your time, it's okay.
could
Take
you
your
do the
time.
same- could you do the same thing that you did for me last week and just read it? Because
Sure.
I'm not pronouncing some of these correctly, I see.
Okay, sure,
They're not as intuitive. Thank you.
sure. Was it helpful? I'm guessing that means that it was helpful.
Oh, very, yes.
Rob, I love the way you add some of the additional Zohar type meanings of each word and letter, not word, letter. That's a whole second level of
You know what I would
understanding
love,
to the
Baruch
alphabet.
Avram, there's a book by Rabbi Raskin. I forget his first name. It's a book called Letters of Light. Letters of Light. You may be able to buy it on Amazon. I'm not sure. But it's a book called Letters of Light. I'm sure you can purchase it somewhere. And I think that you would find that fascinating. There's a lot more there.
I don't know if I have that one, but I do have a book that goes into Zohar and then begins with the deeper concepts of each letter,
Great.
which again are overwhelming. They're overwhelming, but I love the way you introduce it.
Great.
Introduce it into it's more than just an aleph base. It's more than just an ABC. The ABC is the basic. We need to understand that. But you should know that Hebrew is a holy language. And so there's levels upon levels upon levels, which we'll get to. Given time, we'll get to it. Baruch Hashem, we'll get to it. But your introduction is fabulous. So
Great.
enjoyable. Very
Glad you
enjoyable.
enjoyed.
Very enjoyable.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Baruch Avram.
Thank you, Rabbi.
And
you.
before we leave, we're going to do the traditional, in addition to the letters, because the letters is the obvious one, but we'll do the traditional. What's something that you enjoyed from today's class? If there's something specific, I know this was more of a cut and dry kind of class, but if there was something that you appreciated specifically from any of those deeper meanings that stuck with you, that you enjoyed, Lisa, is there something in particular is there one in particular that you enjoyed?
Well, for better, for worse, the image of the kuf is sticking with me.
Oh, that's first.
So I'm taking it as an elder soul helping a younger soul on its way.
Great. Good. If that worked, good. Baruch Avram, is there something particular that you enjoyed?
Rabbi, you should bless us with the Yivarechecha.
Okay.
Is
We'll
that-
do that in just a moment.
Okay.
Joan, was there something in particular that you enjoyed?
Well, the last letter is so meaningful and it ties it all together. And it makes it
Beautiful.
all, it makes it all complete.
Beautiful. So Baruch Avram wants a special blessing. I'm not a Kohen, so my blessing is not going to be the blessing of a Kohen, but I've been
Okay.
taught not to shun the blessings of a simple person. So Yavarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Yair Adonai panav elecha v'choneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom, v'somo
Amen.
et shemiah b'nei Yisrael
Amen.
v'ani avarachem.
Excellent.
Amen.
No better way to end the session, Rob. Thank you.
Translation, kindly.
God
The Lord's
should,
Prayer.
I'm going to butcher this. Okay.
No,
God
the
should
Lord's
bless
Prayer.
you and he will save you. Yavarechecha means he will bless you. V'yishmerecha, and he will protect you. Because if he blesses you, but he's not protecting you, then the blessings don't help. A regular person can give you blessings. He can give you money, can give you wealth, can give you anything. But once they've given it to you, they can't stop anyone from stealing it from you. God, when he gives you a blessing, it's yours because he makes sure that nobody can take it from you. Ya'er Hashem panav elecha, Hashem will shine his face upon you, v'choneka, and give you grace. Yisa Hashem panav elecha, Hashem will raise his face to you, v'yasem lecha shalom, and give you peace.
Amen.
Amen.
Lovely.
Have
And
a
for
great
you too.
evening, a great week.
Thank you.
And this has been such
Thank
a
you.
great way to start our week. And we'll see you all next Sunday night. Same time, same place.
Thank you,
Shavua
Rabbi.
Tov.
Avoid that.
Excellent.